Okay, we got to update these rankings with the Christian McCaffrey injury, with the Dalvin Cook news. I know y'all hated my ranking of Damian Pierce on the first video. We're going to be diving a little bit deeper as well. Instead of going through the top 30 running backs, we're going to do the top 36 running backs. Help you start whoever you have on your team. But of course, before we get into it, go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and I owe you a massive thank you for everybody who has been dropping that like and subscribing. We just got our 100,000th, I don't know what you call it, subscriber plaque. Thank you for all the support, and I'm going to continue to answer as many comments as I can down there in the comment section. I'm going to live stream every single night, so with the bell next to the subscribe button. And last but not least, you should have taken advantage of this by now, but go sign up for Underdog Fantasy, where you can check out all these cool player props. Not only do you have those player props available on Underdog, but when you make your first deposit with the link in the description of the video and use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. And only with people who use promo code FLOCK are you going to get access to the Cooper Cup over under half a receiving yard line. I'm no expert, but the over looks pretty safe there. So you can deposit $10 on Underdog, have $20 in your account, bet $20 on that over, and take that free money. Now let's go through. Let's dive into these rankings. Tier 1, standing by himself, Jonathan Taylor. Now with Jonathan Taylor, I mean, dear God, we have to worry about an injury with him as well. I mean, this is a running back that did miss practice early on in the week. I would assume that if you're Jonathan Taylor, I mean, if you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my gosh, my ankle's a little bit stiff, that if anything is bothering you at all, you go, okay, you know what? I'm good, not going to practice today. I think I got it on lock. He did return to practice with the toe injury on Thursday. Not going to be too worried about it. Not going to be too worried about the matchup against Tennessee. The Indianapolis Colts, in my opinion, should win this game, with the Tennessee Titans looking very, very bad. Take Jonathan Taylor 1 overall. And now dropping down a tier, we are going to have Saquon Barkley at 2. With Barkley, great matchup against the Chicago Bears. Y'all know I loved playing Damian Pierce a week ago because the Chicago Bears are going to be an offense that really can't play keep away with the ball. And on top of this, this should be one of the very few competitive games where maybe Saquon Barkley is able to get 20 plus carries, with Saquon Barkley obviously getting heavily involved as a pass catcher as well. So I think that he is going to be one of the safer options we can look at. And now going down to our next player at 3, Christian McCaffrey. Missed practice on Wednesday, missed practice on Thursday. I don't know if he's going to play or not, but I do want to put him here and saying, if he does play, I mean, we have never seen Christian McCaffrey play through an injury and then be limited, where instead of playing 90% of the snaps, he only plays 70. He should have his usual workload, so please, I'm ranking him here to prove a point. Maybe he gets outscored by Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb. I don't know. I don't care. I just want to make sure that we are on the same page, that if Christian McCaffrey plays against the Arizona Cardinals, you have Christian McCaffrey in your starting lineup. And the most surprising thing that I've seen this week is the Carolina Panthers are favored in this game over Arizona. That's just a quick side note. Now, dropping down to our next tier, we're going to have Derrick Henry going up against the Indianapolis Colts. With Derrick Henry, got involved more as a pass catcher a week ago. You still have the same red flags that we previously had. Bad offensive line, bad offense. Kind of is what it is if we're looking at the line. And with this game right now, you'd have the Colts favored by 3.5. I think it'll be a close enough game for Derrick Henry to get fed. And then our next guy, Nick Chubb, going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Great matchup. I mean, here, the Cleveland Browns should be able to run the ball consistently. We will talk about Kareem Hunt a little later on, of course. Now, Austin Ekeler at 6. Going to be one of the harder players to rank because obviously really don't know what to expect. No Rashawn Slater. Justin Herbert banged up with a rib injury. Looks like Keenan Allen just left practice on Thursday, deal with the hamstring. So there's a lot going on right now with the Los Angeles Chargers. Ekeler was outrushed a week ago by Sony freaking Michel. I don't know. I think you still have to go through and play Austin Ekeler where you have him. Worst case scenario is going to be drawing 7-8 targets out of the backfield. Now, our next guy in this tier will be Leonard Fournette going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I'm happy. This week, it looks like we have a lot of good games. This should be an extremely close game between these two teams. With Fournette, you're going to have some other players in Tampa back in. You'll have Evans. Looks like Julio will play. Looks like Gage will play. Maybe we get Chris Godwin. We're going to have to watch for the Friday practice report. But anyway, there will be more weapons in Tampa, so there will be more competition for touches from Leonard Fournette. You have the coaching staff saying that they're going to get Rachaad White a little bit more involved. involved. However, doesn't really matter. I expect Tampa to be able to finally put up a decent amount of points now that they finally have their weapons back. And our last guy on this list is going to be Dalvin Cook going up against the New Orleans Saints. Not a massive fan of this matchup. Don't like the fact that they're playing at 8:30 in the morning. Like, this is going to be weird London game. Never really know what to expect. But Dalvin Cook practiced in full on Thursday. I mean, we had the report the next day after the injury saying that he was going to be good to go. So I think that he is someone you have to jam in your lineup. Now, going down to our next tier, we are going to have Alvin Kamara in that same game. With Alvin Kamara, I know everybody wants to panic, but Michael Thomas didn't practice in back-to-back days here. I think that maybe they lean on Alvin Kamara a little bit more as a pass catcher. Keep in mind, yes, he was very disappointing this past week, but at the end of the day, he had 15 carries. He had 7 targets. You had the workload we're looking for. I would honestly probably rather see Andy Dalton in this game over Jameis Winston if we're just talking about Alvin Kamara's fantasy value. But now going down to our next guy, Najee Harris at 10. With Najee at 10 going up against the Jets, this will be one of the better matchups where the Jets haven't had a super bad defense so far this season. But what you need to see is you need to see the Pittsburgh Steelers win the game, be able to run the ball in the second half. They are favored in this contest by 3 points. So it's going to be one of the very few games where I think the game script's going to be pretty good for Najee Harris. He has been disappointing, but he just gets 10 days to rest here. Hopefully he's a little more healthy and gets involved and is a little bit more explosive. But now our last guy in this here, Javonte Williams. Loved Javonte Williams a week ago. I was all in. Looking like he was taking over this backfield in week 2. However, now this is a situation where we are in a much worse spot. Where week 3, he sees less than half the snaps. Mike Boone is involved. Melvin Gordon has a large role. Hopefully we get more Javonte, but it's not looking great. And now our following tier is going to be Aaron Jones at 12. With Aaron Jones, really do not like this matchup going up against what should be a good New England Patriots defense. With Aaron Jones at the same time, he has 8 fewer touches than A.J. Dillon so far this season. He's had the role in the red zone in back-to-back weeks here, which you really like to see. Obviously, the Packers should be able to put points up on the board. They are favored by 9 points in this game over the New England Patriots, who won't have Mac Jones. Now, our next guy is going to be James Robinson going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. I can already hear you. I'm already predicting in the Premier chat. We're going to have everyone going, where's James Robinson? Where's James Robinson? This guy's an idiot. Have y'all looked at the matchup here? James Robinson going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia has been phenomenal so far this season, obviously as an offense, but as well as a defensive unit. They are favored by 6.5 points in this game over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm worried that the game script isn't going to be as great for James Robinson as what we saw in the last 2 contests. Now, our last running back in this tier is going to be James Conner. With James Conner, Cliff Kingsbury saying that we need to get him more involved, but honestly, he's already been heavily involved. This is a running back that has had 15 targets through the first 3 weeks this season. He left week 2 early with an injury. He was limited week 3, and he's had more targets than Aaron Jones this year. I mean, I think this will be a better offense going forward. I know they have struggled through the first 3 weeks here, but at the same time, if we're going to be fair, they haven't had DeAndre Hopkins. They haven't had Rondale Moore. Hopefully we get Rondale Moore back this week. Looks like it's trending in that direction. Now dropping down to our next tier, we're going to have Jamal Williams at 15 going up against the Seattle Seahawks. Really like the game environment here for the Detroit Lions. They have a banged up DeAndre Swift who's not going to play. A banged up TJ Hawkinson, first dealing with the hip, now dealing with the foot. A banged up Amon-Ra St. Brown, back-to-back practices he's missed with the ankle injury. Of course, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown does play. We'll have to monitor the practice report that we get on Friday. You still have the Detroit Lions favored by about 4.5 points in this game. I think they're able to run it. And with Jamal Williams, he has been involved as a pass catcher as well. Now our last running back is going to be Cordell Patterson at 16 here in this tier. Is a running back that's top 5 in the NFL in rushing yards. The man has more rushing yards than Justin Fields has passing yards. That's like my favorite stat in fantasy football right now. He's getting involved as a pass catcher. I do think that we see the Atlanta Falcons take a small step back here. And with Cordell Patterson, I mean, the man's 32 years old. I don't know if we can expect that he just keeps this up throughout the entire season. Now going down to our next tier, we're going to have Khalil Herbert at 17. David Montgomery missed practice on Thursday, so it looks like it's more and more likely that Khalil Herbert is just going to be good to go here against the New York Giants. Now, the Chicago Bears are the underdogs in this matchup. It's about a 3-point gap between these two teams. So I will say if you're choosing between those two waiver wire guys this week in Jamal Williams and Khalil Herbert. I think Jamal Williams plays in the better offense, has the better game environment, and also gets more involved as a pass catcher. Khalil Herbert, great guy in first and second down, but knowing that the passing attempt is going to be extremely limited in Chicago, I think he doesn't have the role in the receiving game you look for. Now, A.J. Dillon going to be our guy at 18. A.J. Dillon, please start him. I know he failed you last week, but he has 8 more touches so far this season than Aaron Jones. I think that he is an auto start in a game where we've already discussed. I mean, it is the largest spread of the week here between the Green Bay Packers and the New England Patriots by a wide margin as well. I think you play both running backs for Green Bay. Now, our next guy is going to be Jeff Wilson Jr. going up against the Rams. Don't love the matchup, but at the same time with Jeff Wilson Jr., this is a running back that is just going to get every target, every reception, every carry out of this backfield. You had Jordan Mason with 1 touch last week. I mean, Jordan Mason has an elite name, as we've talked about previously, but it looks like Kyle Shanahan doesn't want to get him involved. And now our next guy is going to be Miles Sanders at 20. With Miles Sanders, I mean, this is a running back that was dealing with a nagging injury. Practiced in full on Thursday. Looks like he's good to go. I'm just a little bit worried here because, as we've already discussed, this is a situation where Jalen Hurts is going to be vulturing those rushing touchdowns at the goal line, and it's still a committee backfield with guys like Boston Scott as well as Kenneth Gainwell both getting involved. Now, Antonio Gibson's going to be our next running back at 21. With Antonio Gibson, I think you can be excited about him this week. You could start him this week. Long-term, when Brian Robinson Jr. comes, I am afraid of what you are going to get with Antonio Gibson. I'm afraid if Brian Robinson comes in and takes 5, 6, 7 carries per game, Antonio Gibson's going to be in a touch squeeze between J.D. McKissic getting the targets, Brian Robinson stealing some of those carries, and you're going to have a small slither in this offense, what's going to be left over for Antonio Gibson. And if we also assume that maybe, just maybe, the offense gets worse as well compared to where they've been the first 2 weeks, don't love this spot for him. Now, our last running back in this tier is going to be Damian Pierce. I know some people want to say, oh, well, Mason, the matchup's not that bad. The Chargers lost Joey Bosa. They don't have a good run defense. Yada. Guys, the Chargers right now are just going to wipe the floor with the Houston Texans. If we're looking at the spread of this game, it's the second largest spread of the week behind the Green Bay Packers and the New England Patriots. I think that the game environment here is not going to be one that we want to chase, because if we look at how this backfield has been split over the past 2 weeks between Burkhead and Damian Pierce getting everything on first and second down, whereas Rex Burkhead's getting everything in the hurry-up offense, third down situations, where if this game gets out of hand, I think you do have Rex Burkhead with a large role here. I mean, I loved Damian Pierce a week ago going up against the Chicago Bears. It was the perfect matchup. I don't like this one, though. Now, dropping down to our next tier, we have the Green Bay guys back-to-back here, 23, 24. Maybe looking at the spread of this game, you know what? If we are looking at the spread of this game, let's actually move Damien Harris down to the bottom of this tier. I think Ramondre Stevenson's easily the guy we want to go with, though, because he's been picking up the receiving down usage since we had no Ty Montgomery. But after that, we're going to go Josh Jacobs, 24. First and second down running back in a matchup that I don't love going up against the Denver Broncos. I mean, Russ is not necessarily cooking, but the Broncos still have a very good defense, and I'm going to be a little bit worried about Brandon Bolden getting that work on third down. Next running back, Kareem Hunt, 25. With Kareem Hunt, he's had the same workload the entire season. If you loved him after week 1 when he scored multiple touchdowns, your opinion should not be changed at all on him. He's still getting the usual 12, 13 carries out of the backfield, 4 targets as well. You're just betting, does he score the touchdown this week? I think against the Atlanta Falcons, he could easily score. And now our last running back in this tier is going to be Damien Harris. More excited about Damien Harris now that we had no Ty Montgomery, as we've already discussed. But maybe if this game gets out of hand, it's more of a Ramondre Stevenson day than it will be for Damien Harris. Now, dropping down to our next tier, we're going to have Breece Hall, 27. Love Breece Hall rest of season. Don't love the matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You still have Michael Carter Jr. split in the backfield. We'll talk about him in 1 second. So I am ranking Breece Hall way higher than this in rest of season rankings. But for week 4, don't love the spot. Now our next guy is going to be a pair of teammates, Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard back-to-back. Maybe Dalton Schultz, Michael Gallup coming back to Dallas is going to make this offense better. But in reality, this is a 50-50 backfield split. and one of the worst offenses in the NFL until we get Dak Prescott back. Also, don't love the matchup going up against Washington. I mean, right now, if you look at the spread, this should be a game where the Dallas Cowboys lead. They are favored by about a field goal. Still, I don't love this situation. And now our next guy is going to be Devin Singletary at 30. I know you probably have the correct take if you're telling me I'm stupid for ranking Devin Singletary this low. I get it. I understand it. But still, if we look past what we had a week ago against the Miami Dolphins, where Singletary was great as a pass catcher, he has really never been used like that. At least he's never been efficient in that role at the NFL level. They invested into James Cook this offseason, so they didn't have to use him this much. There's still a three-man backfield between Zach Moss, James Cook, and Devin Singletary. And I also really don't like the matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. I'd assume that Josh Allen drops back pretty much every single down this week. And now our last running back in this tier, Clyde EdwardsHelaire. Trust me, I did not forget him. He is going to be very low in our rankings, clearly. And before you go down to the comment section, tell me I'm an idiot. What I want you to do is understand that Jerick McKinnon played more snaps than Clyde EdwardsHelaire a week ago. And on top of this, they have a brutal matchup going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense. So you're allowed to come and tell me I'm an idiot. But let's wait, see how this week plays out. And then after the video on Sunday night, go down to the comment section. Tell me I'm stupid if you bench Clyde EdwardsHelaire because I told you to. Now going down to our next tier, we're going to have the Los Angeles Rams running backs. Cam Akers, Daryl Henderson, 32, 33. I'm going to really like the two RBs individually. The issue is a very similar situation to Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard. They're both split in the backfield 50-50. Very difficult to figure out which guy you want to go with. And at the same time, it is a very tough matchup going up against the 49ers. This game is in San Francisco, but I'm surprised to see the 49ers are favored in this contest. I don't know. I think it's going to be very hard to start either of the Rams players just because we don't know if they are going to be going with Cam Akers or going with Daryl Henderson. Now, our next guy is going to be Rashad Penny, 34. Rashad Penny, horrendous situation. He is in a three-man running back by committee in one of the worst offenses in the NFL. With that being said, the Detroit Lions don't have a great defense, so maybe the matchup's okay for him. And now our next guy is going to be Michael Carter Jr. at 35. I know everybody wanted to hate on me. Everybody wanted to clown on me. Week 1, week 2, week 3, when I said that it was going to be short-lived for Michael Carter Jr. to be the starting running back here for the New York Jets. That Breece Hall was going to take over. Last week, we finally had that takeover where Breece Hall played more snaps than Michael Carter Jr. You got to lower him down your expectations. Now our last guy going to be J.K. Dobbins. Hate the matchup against Buffalo. He played less snaps than Justice Hill. I think they're going to still ramp him up. On the injury report with a chest injury, I have no idea what this is about. So, mysterious injury. Didn't have the role last week. Horrendous matchup. I loved him in fantasy drafts. I still think that he has the ceiling we're looking for in the second half of the season, but I'm still not starting him until we actually see the breakout. But thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and ask me any questions you may have in the comment section. Last but not least, make sure you take advantage of this special offer on Underdog Fantasy. Only for people who use promo code FLOCK are you going to be able to go bet the over on Cooper Kupp at half a receiving guard. And also when you use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. So go to the link in the description of the video. Deposit $10 on Underdog with promo code FLOCK. Have $20 in your account. Go bet $20 on the over Cooper Kupp prop. But thank you again. I appreciate you. Hope you have a great day and hope we get to see you in the live stream tonight.